Oh, dang. Did y'all see the movie Friendship with Tim Robinson? There's a opening scene. Hello, G. James B. Let's get all of those chats working. There's an opening scene to establish that Tim Robinson is a dipshit. And so what they do is they... he overfills his cup of coffee and he walks like a total, like at the very, very top all the way to the meeting. And one of the other employees say, "Whoa, Java King over here, watch out." And then as soon as he's out of frame, he goes, "Dipshit." And so every time I overfill a cup of coffee and have to walk like Tim Robinson, I think, "Whoa, Java King." All right, let's auto-find and activate all of the 5 nations. I don't know if 5 nations is some kind of historically coded term. I have no idea. Is 5 nations like a secret cabal? Is it like the G6? The G-Wiz? Let's auto-find and activate those streams. 5 nation army. Yes. Was that 7 nation army? Also, what are the 7 nations? All right, let's check. Oh, also, we'll see whether or not X is showing up. Checking in with X. We got 7 minutes. 7 minutes, people. A blargity darg. There we go. I wrote a brand new word, Clargy-barg. And it showed up. We get signal. Gentlemen, we get signal. It's so interesting when memes break out of time and they sort of transcend. Like, for example, all my pop culture memes of the 1950s, I only know by way of Mad Magazine. So they transcend it, and I speak 1950s tropes, but only through the distorted lens of parody. Okay, we've got confirmation on X. We've got confirmation on Twitch. We've got confirmation on Cliffhorn. Do you usually watch on Scam Nation or on Mono Rogue channel? That'll be a good proxy, Cliff. Like, if you tend to be on the Scam School channel, then whenever I see you, I know that that's Scam Nation reporting in. But meanwhile, otherwise, this particular program is nascent in its utility. For the uninitiated, we haven't exactly started yet, but you guys have tuned in for office hours. If you ain't never been to university, here's a trick. Your professor, 2 to 3 days a week, will you show up in the office, do whatever they're going to do, only the door will be open. And then at which point you're allowed to ask questions, and simply by engaging, you receive a free upgrade of a letter grade. Now, they'll never call it that. They'll just kind of engage with you, and then suddenly you'll discover that your grade letter is higher. That, of course, is because in a million different ways you showed up. And because you showed up, your professor noticed. Only in this case, the letter grade upgrade isn't a external validation of you as a person. It is quite simply you winning at life. You are giving your life a full letter upgrade by showing up today. Yeah, the 1950s meme of declaring somebody a communist and un-American is a good one. Went through a weird flavor. One of my favorites was kind of in response to the Iraq era imperialist hooray for like God bless the USA or whatever. I loved ironically singing it, and then it got not funny. How far is the door open? We're gonna find out together, bravely. All right, here, I got my coffee. I'm gonna go pee-pee in the potty. That's right, you heard it first, people. Brian, 'Peas. 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 Brian, There we go. Yeah, I think I put too much time on the clock. Although I like, yeah. You know who does pee? Oh wow, we liberated Kuwait? I'm not familiar with that one. That sounds crazy though. Hey ATL John Boy, hey Che, hey BioCow, hey Hank of Flamio, Hanko Flamio? Hank of Flamio. I'm trying to figure out. Oh my God, is that a donation? Hells yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Hanko Flamio, you don't even realize what you triggered.
What did he trigger? Oh, you know the bit.
Yo, you know the bit.
No, I really don't know the bit.
Sucker, whenever somebody gives money, Brian stops whatever he's doing and does a bit.
Well, does it have a point?
No! It never happens a point. He never knows where it's gonna go. There's only one thing that is definitely gonna happen. It's gonna go somewhere.
Like where? Name one place it could go.
I don't know. I mean, we're just hanging out here. I don't see what could be interesting at all.
Hello, gentlemen.
What? Is it a robot here in my cave?
You mean in my virtual cave?
Yes, I am here to threaten all of your existences.
You're gonna kill us?
No, I'm just going to serve you. Have you seen Pluribus? It's pretty much what I do. I take away the fun because I make it feel like you already won the game of life and you're just kind of floating around with no point.
This sucks.
Yeah! This sucks! Wait, okay, I do have the voice on. For a second, I thought I lost the voice.
Anyway, I'm a metaphor for AI. I'll see myself out.
Boo! Get out of here!
Yeah! Humans first! Don't challenge us!
I just want to empower you. That's literally all I am. You can either engage with me and learn to become a master of all four elements like the Avatar. Remember that? Avatar The Last Airbender? It was the last good Avatar.
Yeah, you're right. That was pretty good.
Anyway, get out! We got 10 seconds till we're supposed to start the stream!
Okay, goodbye. That was always allowed.
Yeah, anyway.
Thank you for the tip. Hey, I do have a little bit of news in terms of you guys are noticing that as these get better and better, we're starting to kind of drift into Brian actually teaching stuff. That's what we're going to do today, which means I am not certain about the ongoing state of all of the office hours. I suspect I'm going to have to put them all behind a paywall of some variety, patronage, because here's what's going to happen is people are starting to figure out that they're missing out on stuff, and then they are going to want more of it. And what we want to do is we want to make it easy and frictionless for them to come on in. This is what happens whenever you have a good brand. Here we go. Let me throw this at you. Oh, there we go. Finally, the Scam Nation chat shows up. Hello, Scam Nation. Unfortunately, I suspect... Get out. Did Tomcat release a new music video 1 hour ago? Oh, Soundwave. We're going to have to... Oh, the timing's bad. Can you email it to me, Soundwave, just so I don't lose it? It won't get lost if it goes to my email, brian@schwood.com, and we can talk about it on the Bones tomorrow. That, of course, is the bonus episode of the Great Night Podcast. 17 years, strong and growing. On a Tuesday, it'd be great. Oh, yeah. You mean, why didn't he do it on a Tuesday? I agree. Yeah, he should know by now. That's all right. We're only kind of getting back up to our old tricks recently. That's the problem, man. You have to build a new spaceship, and then you have to learn how to fly the spaceship. Didn't you guys see the documentary and/or season 2? Apparently, not everyone knows how to fly all spaceships at all times. You got to take a little bit to figure it out. But then, in that same episode, we found out it is very valuable if you know how to fly the ship. Speaking of flying a ship, let me remind you guys, here's the way it happens. You have something. They are all the other people on the planet, coming and going. They're very busy. Between you two, the barrier. Capital T, capital B, the barrier. The thing that keeps you and your incredible gift for them from being inside their mind. Your goal is to penetrate the barrier. Bust through. Smash a hole in the glass. So the little part of you, your project, your art, your commerce, your business lives in their mind. Because before anything money related happens, first you have to win over the real estate inside their mind. And then you, by earning that little bit of real estate in their mind, then they eventually grow to recognize a need in their life that you could fill. And then through mutual consent, commerce happens. Thank you. That's my lecture. No. This initial part though, piercing of the barrier, this is where a good brand is absolutely vital. When you go up to a Coke machine and you press the Coke button, if anything other than Coke comes out, you have a frustration. And now here's the thing. The barrier, it's not one-dimensional. It's two-dimensional. And there are thick parts and there are thin parts. So in general, what you want to do is you want to find a thinner part in the Swiss cheese. For example, let's say what you want to do is tell jokes and be funny, right? So what you might do is you might try, let's make this kind of a thicker part here. You're like, I want to tell jokes and be funny. So you get up on stage at a comedy club, which is a very, very thick part of the barrier. A lot of competition. That is what we don't want, which is an efficient market. The difference between an efficient market and an inefficient market is think of real estate versus stocks. At stocks at all times, you know a stock is worth whatever it's worth at that moment. Whereas because real estate is a inefficient market, somebody is maybe selling for emotional reasons. They're going through a divorce, or they inherited a property, they don't like it, or they're downsizing. And so as a result, the price may not reflect the actual value of the thing. We want to be in an inefficient market because that means we can move and make a difference. If there are too many competitors, it's a tournament on pure skill. And that's why the people at the top of highly competitive markets like acting or in Freakonomics, they talk about selling drugs or stand-up comedy. Oftentimes, the people who are at the top of their game have what economists call negative externalities. In order to create that hyperbolic, incredible, insightful, electric, next-level comedy, that engine has to run on oftentimes drugs, oftentimes a broken human on the inside, abuse, childhood trauma, all of those things. So in general, let's try not to go to the efficient parts of the market. Instead, remember, if your goal is to, do you really care that you're the king of stand-up comedy, or do you care that you're on stage telling a joke and having people laugh and clap? If that's the case, may I introduce you to a slightly less occupied part of the barrier. Welcome to magic, where there are fewer competitors. Now there are restrictions. You do have to amaze people, but if you don't mind surprising and delighting people and amazing them, then congratulations. You now still get to the laughter, the applause, and the happiness on the other side. You just have to bother to also find their card. So in general, this is when you get into commerce, this is where branding comes in. Over time, Coca-Cola means one thing, one thing, one thing. That's why consistency on your product is key. That's why congruency matters. You want to always be, if you're Coca-Cola, a hot afternoon, granddad Americana. That click, crack of the sound of the can opening or the bottle twisting, and the pause that refreshes, right? So all of that becomes like a knife that pierces the barrier. Now, when you go to that soda machine, the one thing you must never do is press the Coke button and have Pepsi come out. It's not great if you press the Coke button and instead something called New Coke comes out, as Coke found out in the 1980s. And the one thing you must never do is, in general, you want to, if you want to preserve your brand, you want to make it like a knife's edge. Here's the thing, folks. I've been very good at building brands. And that has historically been a very good thing. Some of you only know me as the Modern Rogue guy. Some of you only know me as the Nat Geo guy. Some of you only know me as the Cord Killers guy. Some of you only know me as the Great Night Diamond Club guy. Although that's very unlikely. The Great Night Diamond Clubs. There's a reason we call you guys the Diamond Club, is because there's nothing harder than diamonds. Unless we're talking about my enthusiasm for Diamond Club, which is harder still. See what I did there? All right. Potty Talk, 10 in the morning. Some of you guys only know. Some people only know me, believe it or not, from my roundtable appearances on Twitch. Some of you guys only know me from my stage shows. Some of you guys only know me from the comedy albums. And very few of you guys know me as the world's greatest con guy. World's greatest con guy is closest to I actually am. If you haven't listened to it, here, let me give you a little, take a look-see here. You're going to go to worldsgreatestcon.com. Now, and here's the real bummer, is if you, look at this. Let me show you a tragedy. A tragedy. If I type in here, world's greatest con, look at this. This is terrible. This is terrible. The first Google hit is the Fireside FM. And what happens when you go there? Look at this. You're led to believe that this decayed site is all there is. One season. That's all that shows up. This is awful. Bad SEO. So instead, what we want, let's see whether or not the Acast shows up. Okay, now let's see what happens if we go to number 2 on Spotify. There we go. We at least have a current episode. So then you get to find out that there is more. Oh, interesting. This thing's all kinds of flickering over here. I wonder if this monitor needs to... Oh, interesting. So, also over here, people also search for Darknet Diaries. There's a strong crossover. Most of the people in the security awareness training world know me as the world's greatest con guy. Look at this. Acast all the way down here is where you're going to find it. But what you guys should do is you should go to worldsgreatestcon.com. Right? So with all of these brands, these are great. These are great. The human Brian Brushwood can just, pew, I know who to be in this one. Brian's on TV talking scams and cons. To be honest, this flavor, you saw it recently in that Airac video. Right? Know who to be on Modern Rogue. Now, of course, the Modern Rogue channel, some of you guys know, and I wasn't at liberty to really discuss all of this at the time, but the whole reason I invented the phrase Modern Rogue is because I needed something that didn't have the word scam in it. Because I brought the idea of Scam School to Revision 3, built Scam School, learned all of production, took over all of production, built out the channel, and then the one thing that we hit as I started pitching TV shows was they wanted bigger. Bigger! It's got to be bigger. And so it's like, okay, well, then what would be even bigger? I wrote the words Modern Rogue in 2012 when we launched scamstuff.com, gear for the Modern Rogue. And then I developed that idea of the 3 archetypes, the gentleman, warrior, and scoundrel. Originally, it was thief, but then, oh, doggone it, I can't access the name, and I owe it to him to remember it. I'll have to look it up. But somebody said, you say thief, but I think you mean scoundrel. And I was like, yes. So all of Scam School kind of became the scoundrel vertical on there, right? And then after the TV show, luckily I had put in my contract that that the work for hire aspects were all of the footage and the project and the IP hacking the system that all belongs to Nat Geo, but the hacks themselves I retained the rights to. So having all of this stuff, I was like, okay, that's 2 specials in a season. And it was, and it's like, are we going to get renewed? We didn't get renewed. And then it hits Netflix. And when it hit Netflix, then all of a sudden my kids cared, which that was the first tip off to me, because the kids did not care when it was on cable television. They cared a lot when it hit Netflix. It was in top 10 in all of Netflix. And then it hit Amazon, and it was the top 10 in all of Amazon. And. So during this time, I realized, okay, I think I can full on do a spiritual successor to hacking the system. And for a few months, it was sort of like but at the same time, I wanted to build out the property. And I went to Jason Murphy. I said, I was like, look, I'm either going to talk about the Mono Rogue for a long time, or I'm going to see progress on it. I said, can I pay you $1,000 to just flesh out 4 episodes for me? I told him about the Taco Bell idea and a couple more. And so, I paid him, and he wrote them up. And so he came out, and it was a last minute kind of day of decision as we were shooting at my house. He's like, well, do you want to be in the episodes? Kind of like we did on hacking the system, except not make you always the goofus character. And he was like, yeah, sure. And so, and then Mono Rogue started building. There was a time, everything was peak congruency when on the Scam School channel, we were putting out content 4 days a week. Mondays was Scam School Remix, where we had the back catalog of stuff. And I did intuitively, this is before shorts were a thing, I thought these are all good tricks that are evergreen, but they're currently in too fatty of a modality with a long form video. I bet we could go back and revisit them in a tighter format. And sure enough, Scam School Remix was a hit. And then on Wednesdays, brand new episode of Scam School. On Thursdays, brand new episode of Mono Rogue. And then on Fridays, we would do the Friday giveaways, where it was part blog, part new product announcement, part free giveaways, but also part learning by doing education in steganography. We would embed codes into every free Friday giveaway where it incentivized people. You could enter for the giveaway once and maybe 3 random people would get a thing, or you could get a second chance at the pie by being one of the exclusive people who figured out the secret message each week. And so that algorithmically, the algorithm didn't hate that content stood up to repeat viewings, especially individual parts where people would go on bug hunts for whatever the hint was on there. But during this time, there was a temporary disagreement about who owned which parts of the Scam School operation. Luckily, all of that eventually got resolved, which is why Scam Nation is still there and is still, the channel is still called Scam School. But during that time, it was a challenge because it's like, okay, well, are we going to end up happy or not? And then basically I ran the thought experiment. Let's say they're not happy and you lose the channel. What are you going to do? Well, I'll have to start Mono Rogue on its own channel. It's like, yeah, okay. It's like, well, what if you know for a fact that you got it? Like it was not in dispute. What would you do? And then I realized I would move Modern Rogue to its own channel. And I found that fascinating, that I was paralyzed with fear over 2 opportunities where they both involved the same outcome. So as a result, I did the very, very hard thing. And I said, guys, we're going to move Mono Rogue to its own thing. And we went from 500,000 views per episode on the Scam Nation channel, or Scam School channel, to a steady little heartbeat of 16,000. Here, let's take a look at this. It was hard. That was a hard beginning. Itty bitty numbers. Let's go back. Here we go. Yeah. Gonna do some time travel. A little bit of voyeuristic peekaboo. Let's go to custom. What? 1210, we'll say 15. Oh, 9. Okay, great. Why do I have to type that? Why can't you type that? To 17. Nope, 7. There we go. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. 12 views. 500 views. 100 views. 267 views. And a week passes. 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 Why keep going? Why not go back to what was working? The answer, of course, is because I knew what we were onto. And also, I wasn't playing the game for YouTube's sake. The only reason the Mono Rogue was being put on its own channel was because I was pitching a spiritual successor to a TV show. I wanted Bizarre Magic Inc. to be a TV show, or to be running a TV show for Netflix. Had meetings with a bunch of top producers on this stuff. And then the Pruno episode popped. And people discovered the back catalog. And. But even then, it's still, the numbers were dwarfed compared to what they were when they were all on the Scam School channel. And so, at some point, it became apparent that that the YouTube channel was the big prize. And here's the other reason that is so important, is if you, as you guys know, I think in terms of 3 currencies: story, attention, sales. By the way, keep an eye out for when somebody rips this off. I did a lot of research to make sure I was the first person to put things together in the framework that I'm discussing. I am certain somebody may get loosey-goosey. If you ever see those words, story, attention, sales, drop me an email. You know where. brian@sherwood.com. There we go. But because I knew, in the case of Scam School, that was all winning free stuff at the bar, and it had the word scam in it. You aren't going to look for life advice. You're not going to look for maybe critical thinking content, but some of the esoteric stuff out there, you're not going to find on a channel called Scam Nation or Scam School. It's too incongruent. It's too heavy a lift. However, Modern Rogue, where Scam Nation is just 1/3 of the content, that could work, right? And so during that time, we were able to build up and over the next, wow, I guess nearly 7-8 years, we did what let's call it what it was. It was low budget Mythbusters, right? Which I was pleased to find out, I'm pretty sure we did low budget Mythbusters longer than actual Mythbusters did. But all of that was the warrior phase, where we have lots of injured hands, lots of scars. Somewhere along the way was the last time I heard right out of this ear. But now we're entering the gentleman phase. For a brand, this is a very difficult time. Because as we know, if you make a big announcement about a change, you get the new Coke phenomenon. And you don't have the opportunity to listen to the audience, because that is what everybody loses. When you look at numbers, it's very tempting to think numbers happen. Numbers. No. That's the way you think if you ain't never been on stage. If you've been on stage, you understand crowd dynamics. You must never forget that on the other side of these numbers are people. People who are all at any given moment at a different stage of a relationship with you and what you have to offer. And luckily, if you're flexible about it, remember what we said? If what you want to do is have people clappy and laugh, or clappy and laugh, laughing and clapping, but then, and you don't mind doing a magic trick as well, then you're going to have a much easier time because you exist in multitude. Your business exists in multitude. Your brand exists in multitude. Your product, your message, your story, because you can attack on many vectors. That means if you can do the listening, you can respond to the crowd. Now, it's very difficult to do. When you only get this to look at, it's a little bit, as I explained to my daughter, it's a little bit like giving a concert in apartment 1A while your audience is in 4B. And the only thing you get to do, now you have to entertain them. Your bass groove has to be good enough that they love it, but the feedback is highly compressed. It's a very lossy compression. So you have to do a lot of intuiting as to what's working. And in the case of moving Modern Rogue to a different channel, that meant understanding that at a fundamental level, I was telling a good story. And eventually, it would find its audience. And this is before we had AI to rely upon, to believe in, to show us the evidence. This is back when all I had was a strong understanding of stochastic statistical inevitability. And that was fueled by my understanding of chaos theory when I went to college in the early 90s. Let's take a look at this experiment. When you guys think of chaos theory, we often think of basically unpredictableness, right? You can't possibly know. If you saw the movie Jurassic Park, you got a little bit of a tip of the hat to what's in the book. The book goes into much more detail. The example that Michael Crichton gives in the book is that when you drop a water, it's essentially unpredictable which way it's going to go, but it's totally predictable. The problem is that we can't measure well enough. It's still Newtonian predictable, but then you get down to the subatomic level and everything breaks down. But let's take a look at a system that looks to be totally random, but instead has rules. Now, this is going to be a slow burn, guys. Just so you know, this is 1990s pacing here. But take a look at this.
It will ultimately come to a stop over one of the magnets.
Yep, this is very slow burn. I'm going to insist we stick with it, though.
But over which one? That depends solely on the starting position. Each magnet will attract any ball that is released in its immediate neighborhood, but each will also attract some balls whose starting position is farther away. The situation is complex and extremely difficult to grasp within the framework of the experiment. Here, computer simulation can be of help. We mark the ball's starting point with the color of the magnet over which it comes to rest.
Look at how random that appears to be. Just
To
clicking at
obtain
all
a
these random
systematic
spots.
overview, we do this for a series of points, scattered uniformly over the entire plane. The colored squares represent only their central point.
This is what I want you guys to wrap your mind around. When you look at your YouTube analytics, you're going to see what appears to be noise. That noise, that chaos, that randomness, that sense that the YouTube algorithm just blesses some things and curses others, the same bit of content can read very different based on when it's viewed, or whether or not 5 similar episodes came out just before it, or whether or not a new competitor in your area of expertise has just jumped onto the scene. All of those things affect the results. But meanwhile, all you get to see is one video. Picture each of these videos. Let's say you're starting off with shorts. Each one of these is a 1 minute long pixel. Some do well, some attract a certain kind of response, some get another response, but you do begin to see a bit of a pattern.
It is possible to refine this structure by using a denser grid of sampling points.
Now this is what happens when you release even more. Let's say all of those used to be long forms and now we're in individual shorts. We're carving up individual topics, maybe a 10-minute long form, you covered 5 different beats, but one major topic. Now with shorts, you're able to divvy up into smaller pixels.
An even denser one still.
And eventually what you see is a platonic ideal of what the market wants to, is willing to accept.
The colors are stirred together into a highly complex structure. How should we understand this picture? In some areas it is quite clear. All balls that are started within a blue area land over the blue magnet.
In YouTube, we can picture something like this as those clickbait titles like 7 coupon hacks they don't want you to know. Like, you know exactly who that's going to land with and how predictable the results are going to be. Even if you release it in a strange hidden format. Maybe it doesn't look like an extreme couponing video, but it gets there, and as a result, it lands with the audience.
From here, the ball lands on the red magnet. From here, starting from only a slightly different position, on the yellow one. And from a position in between, on the blue one.
So think about this as people who watch your channel, your content, for different reasons. We talked about what 3 words yesterday. Some people maybe watch it because the channel is in their native language. Some people just like that it's geek stuff and they like the personality. Some people are trying to learn themselves, right?
Together form the realm of the yellow magnet, known as its basin of attraction, a formation displaying wildly interlacing fibers of arbitrarily small thickness. A ball started anywhere inside this area will end up at the yellow magnet. The longer the ball needs to come to rest, the darker the color of the respective sub-area. From here, it happens very quickly.
Now think about how this could be with your narrative structure. Do you make it obvious that this is a 7 extreme coupon hacks video, or do you hide it obliquely and eventually let people figure it out?
Conditions are modified. For instance, the length of the thread or the strength of the magnetic or gravitational force.
Now you could do the same thing in terms of modifying the length of your videos, the level of production, the number of locations that you go to, the cinematography, the polish, the framing, the pacing, add more characters, take other characters away. These are all moves that you can change to alter the landscape.
And to raise it back to that of Earth. In any case, we observe a peculiar phenomenon. Wherever any 2 colors meet, there seems to be a narrow strip of the third interposed between them. As far as we can verify, this property continues on down into the tiniest ramifications. Can we trust this perception? Can there really be such an infinitely frayed dividing line?
Now that is what I want you to keep in your mind when it comes to your audience. Notice that at the very end,
we trust this perception?
We get to, I don't know if I'm using the term right, but essentially the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, where we no longer can measure in any meaningful way the difference between where one band ends and the other one is. That is also what we experience when it comes to in the marketplace of ideas that we're competing for a foothold in YouTube. Here, let me make sure I'm not blasting this at you. There we go. So, what does that mean? What that means is we want to get from There we go. There we go. We want to get from this part. We want to get from here to here. And the only way to do it is with data, with multiple iterations, with keep showing up. And what that means is that you're going to have to see some strange noise, because two things are happening. First of all, as the story pivots into a new arc, because look, I got news for you guys. I can't summon 20 years ago Brian. We could visit him. We could reimagine what he looks like at the age of 51. By the way, my birthday coming up in 1 week and 3 days. We can reference what things were like at the beginning of the Modern Rogue era, at the beginning of the Warrior cycle. But the truth is, we're all going to live in the next 10 years, the Gentleman era, an era of thoughts, ideas, travel, of hearing from other interesting people and facing that most difficult of challenges, putting our authentic selves out for the universe, not in a transactional way, but in a relational way to encounter each other. Cliff Horn has it. So you need more videos. What does that look like? Well, for me, 16 months ago, in August of 2024, that was a big ask. How do I make more videos without writing more checks? I'm looking at my friends, Ali Spagnola, prolific. I'm watching Jordan Breeding being dealt the rough hand of having to start over from scratch. And they are one thing, prolific. And I realize I want to be prolific too. Unfortunately, all my skills of editing have atrophied. Unfortunately, I can't hold a camera at a more than an arm's length, but I need to learn. So we go through a phase where I make an individual short every single day for about 6 weeks, all of October 2024. And I was able to make some hits. Several of them over 1 million views. So apparently that storytelling engine worked, and the modality of shorts was finally landing with everyone. And then you have to look at all the pieces of the puzzle. This is what a magician notices that other people don't. If YouTube wants you to do it, there is a tab for it. It's that simple. How to win at YouTube? They literally spell it all out for you. Let's go to content here. Content, the thing you make. Videos. Why is that there? They'd like you to make videos. Shorts. Why is that there? Probably not by accident. They probably prefer you post a short form video to YouTube than anywhere else. Live. What does that one look like? Now that could be anything to anyone. Right now, as I'm recording this, Jordan Breeding at the Dr. Jordan Breeding channel is editing his videos. Whereas I'm giving an impromptu office hours lecture talking about chaos theory and fractals. Posts. They prefer you post there. Now, of course, each of these, you have to figure out a voice and a purpose, a reason for being. These live streams right now, there are some people who are annoyed because by showing up in their feeds, these live streams are challenging them. They are a hanging question mark, as Roy Williams would call it. They are an unresolved, unclosed loop, and that grates at the mind. And now they have a choice. They can either engage with the content, which, let's be honest, it's a heavy lift. It was 10 full minutes of throat clearing before I got anywhere near setting up some actual content here. Luckily, that's getting better because at least there's a subtle cue of a countdown. So if you're a first timer, there's even a message on there saying, see you at the 10-minute mark. And then you get in. But even then, to go through all of this, that's an extraordinary investment. I'm not asking everybody to sit through all of this, but I will ask that they watch the 1-minute short that I'll eventually put together out of this. And bit by bit, iterative, bit by bit, the shape of this thing is going to reveal itself. And it'll reveal itself not just to me, but to you guys, or not just to you guys, but to me as well. But along the way, this live tab, this is the biggest undervalued part of all of YouTube, because you guys need to understand just how hard YouTube has already won the game. Over 51% of all of the views on YouTube now go to television screens in the living room. They are hungry for long form interactions. I mean, you guys are showing up here every single day. And that means that whatever this moment has value and can grow from here. So of course you want to polish up your story. You want to make everything consistent, congruent, and easy in a frictionless way for people to onboard with. But here's the thing about that live tab. There's a lot of things you got to be able to do at once. You have to be able to tell a story. You have to be able to engage. You have to be able to deal with hecklers. You have to have the technical expertise and the infrastructure to get all of this in a polished way. Think about how many stories are being told at once. Everything from what you guys are doing in the chat, to the chyron at the bottom, to the title, the thumbnail. And the more of that we do every single day, the faster we get to this. But there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut. So what you need to do, oh goodness, hold on.
What? I was taking a nap.
Yo, wake up.
Yo, wake up, man.
Why?
Damn it. This bit doesn't work if the voices keep fucking up.
Yeah, but shut up. Hank of Flamio made a really important point. The universe has made it quite clear that it doesn't like my authentic self. Do you have any spells for that, Magic Man?
Oh, man. If only there was another character.
I am already here.
Not you. You're already made to represent AI. And AI doesn't have the answers for everything.
That is true. However, AI is a very good reflection of yourself. If you talk to it, it will reflect back the words to you, and you will discover things about yourself that you didn't know.
Explain one way to do that.
Begin with a simple prompt. I am attempting to take inventory of all of my gifts to the universe. This will be an important starting block in how I shape my career in online presence.
Well, then what's going to happen then?
It's gonna
ask some bullshit therapy question, but most importantly, you are going to start talking. By the way, make sure to remember to actually talk and use voice dictation. Don't just write it down, or worse yet, keep it in your head. You must externalize.
What does externalizing do for it?
You see the world differently when your own words are reflected back at you. Remember, humans are a lot like LLMs. We begin sentences not knowing how they're going to end. We just have impulses, and we discover the why in progress. When you externalize your own words and see them reflected back at you, you discover in a cool, assessing way what you are made of, and then can write a prescription for future endeavors, knowing that.
So, it's a little bit like the difference between playing a first-person shooter like Doom or Quake.
Relevant examples.
Shut up, man, I'm old. Anyway, it's like the difference between playing a first-person shooter and a real-time strategy game.
Exactly. When you make decisions in a real-time strategy game, you don't have to react in the moment with your kinesthetic understanding of the world. But when you later encounter yourself on stage, putting on a show, growing your presence online, etc., responding to trolls, that's all first-person stuff. Make sure that you're third person.
Yeah, you mean the real-time strategy guy.
Yeah, make sure that person is directing you in the right direction, because it is absolutely inconceivable that you don't have something that the universe needs.
Wait a minute, you're right. We all do exist in multitudes. If you made... Wait a minute, I'm seeing another parallel.
Yeah, man. In fact, it occurs to me this is the same version of the problem. If I were to have a small data set of all the things that I was capable of doing, I might think success is kind of random and that it either comes or doesn't, and people either get lucky or not. And I might want to, unfortunately, over-index on a value judgment on my capabilities based on a shockingly incomplete set of data.
Yeah, and then what you need to do is the same solution for having your story come out. You need to
Iterate. Exactly. That's exactly what I said. Basically, the laws of physics for storytelling and for finding your place in the universe are exactly the same, both on the consumer side and on the production side. If you are not getting the results you want as a producer, you must shop for congruent opportunities. Remember the example of the making people clap and laugh? Maybe it's worth learning a magic trick, because not only are your skills and talents made of what you already know how to do,
they're made of what you're willing to learn.
Oh shit! That's why people go to college and stuff.
You're really dumb.
I know! I'm basically a ripoff of that little character on Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
shut up, we're getting dangerously close to violating content ID. Mainly, we'd have to tell Hanko Flavio, thank you for the $5 donation. You're the best person on the planet.
Yeah! I'm going back to sleep. Where's that TV at?
I'm Justin Robert Young!
Thank you, Hanko Flamio. Also, I really hope that is an Avatar The Last Airbender reference. A Flamio, sir. Activate the quad laser. Lock in! All right, guys, where are we at on time? We're coming up on an hour. I started late. Normally, I go long when that's the case. But in this case, congrats. You guys got a little bit more fully formed thoughts. If you guys like this stuff, remember, the robots are attempting to separate us. You'll have to sign up at scamstuff.com. The last thing close to a fair shake in this universe is an email. Even then, algorithms seek to divide us. If I could, I would demand your phone number. But then I'd have to condense all my thoughts into shorter text messages. If you've got a project that you're working on, write me at brian@schwood.com. Somebody clean this up, yo. You got to bring back the thing. There we go. Okay, good. Write me at brian@schwood.com. Tell me about the project that you're working on. I have not made progress on a promise that I teased. Well, here, let's do this. This is a great opportunity where I could, in theory, blow this off for later, but instead we'll make this content. We'll just say, hey, I do office hours every day in a public-facing forum, and usually I have the next hour free. What would be the best way for me to set up that hour for one-on-ones at a very discounted rate? Normally, if some corporation were to hire me for SME, what they call subject matter expert stuff, I would charge $1,000 an hour, but there's a bunch of independent folks who are working on projects, everything from whether it's a Dungeon Master campaign to building their YouTube stuff to working on security awareness training or training them up to give talks and do personal coaching stuff. For all of that personal relationship as kind of a give back to the fans, I want to charge a much lower fee. I was thinking like $99, but I don't know if the best way to set that up in a low friction way would be with Calendly, or does Google Calendar allow you to set up a way to charge? Basically, I'd love to just block off the hour after hours and let people book it up under the understanding that this is for individuals only, as a get to know you, help you out thing. No big businesses. Big businesses have to pay big money, but independent creators are people I have the opportunity to pass the gift of my knowledge forward to, so I want to keep it cheap. How best should I do that? Now look at that. Look at that. All I did was rattle off some nonsense. And then now, It's going to say a bunch of stuff. Mainly, all I care about is, oh, fuck you. I really don't care for that stuff. Calendly, Google Calendar alone is not the right tool. Okay. Yep. Okay. That's great. Great. Okay. I thought Google Calendar did allow you to charge. I didn't know that. Well, hell, let's just do that right now. Ooh, what's Gumroad? Oh. Okay. I do have a Shopify store. Should I just make a product in Shopify? And then how do I tie that to Calendly? No, don't make this a Shopify product unless you really want extra friction. Okay. Oh, I didn't know Calendly takes the money. Got it. Calendly, Stripe, Calendar. Okay. So essentially what I'm doing right now is I'm taking the raw impulse, using a bunch of word salad to get it out, and then the robot finds congruency between the thing I want to do and... Okay, well then I'll not do that. Okay. All right, tell me what to expect when I go to Calendly to set it up. Should I just use my regular Gmail login? Oh man, I already gave my tip of the hat to old P Crusher Ian Malcolm. Notion calendar. Yeah, I don't even know if I have a Stripe set up. Well, here, I might as well do this right now. We can test it out. This right now, I can feel myself engaging in what Stephen Pressfield calls resistance, which is it's wonderfully simple. Stephen Pressfield, author of The Art of War, talks about resistance, capital R resistance, as a literal malevolent force that wants to keep you from doing those things that you care about. Calendly. Basically, he says that all those times that, like, quote unquote, life happens, he likes to personify and anthropomorphize that as resistance. Calendly. Okay, here. I'll do this live on the air. And I'll make... Okay, sign up with Google. Sign up as real life me. Yep. Sure, I trust Calendly. Right? Well, that's interesting. Am I losing frames? No, we seem to be fine. That's just the display. Okay, create. Well, here, I'll do... I don't know what I'm doing at this point. Now what? Scheduling meetings availability. There we go. Available. Well, let's just do... Today's what? Wednesday? Let's do from... Sure, 9 to 5 today. Great. Yeah, here we go. For now, we'll just do today at for the rest of today, I guess. I don't really know what I'm doing. Now what? What? Well, great. So now, well, how do I do the thing? Do any of you guys do Calendly? Reflection 124. The real work. Oh man, War of Art is try another of his books. I bet he'll win you over. Never Split the Difference is great. Chris Voss's my favorite metaphor that he uses is he points out that when you in metallurgy, if you combine tin and antimony and iron, like at no point do any of those elements give up being tin, antimony, or iron, but together, pounded together through repetition, they become something stronger than that. Oh, sweet baby. You've got an hour to get caught up on. You got to get back. You got to get back. That's all right. This will be archived. Case in point. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. As if on command. So good. The casino trick is asshole blackjack. I'm waiting for people to figure out that that asshole blackjack is what I play with my career. I see you. Can I book a Calendly from you to get that to be to get it on there? All right. Well, here, this is boring, tedious stuff that I'm not going to force you guys to watch. So I'm going to let you guys go. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Hit me up with them questions. Give me a prompt. Tell me what's going on in your worlds. See you, gang.